Vincenzo's Go Crypto Investing, and sorry about the updates. Not being there the last couple of days, work, travel, life, personal shit, all got in the way. But we're here to make another video for you, and hopefully you get something out of this. And what we're taking a look here as we open up is, let's get that out of the way, is we got the weekly time frame, and you can see the volume where we had our two big humps, hump one, hump two in the last two bull markets. And then we've been down and in the same area. But if we zoom in to the daily time frame and then we delete that, we get off of that and we isolate a little bit closer, what I'm looking at here is my attention over the next month or two is going to be, see how we were in this area right there. Let's get that out of the way. See how we were in that, where that volume is right there. Then we had the big pump with volume on the news that broke last week. And now we've had this, what could essentially be, of course, this would start throwing nonsense on here. To put that in the do not disturb mode. Then if we zoom in here, you can see what could be a new plateau of volume, where it's not way higher than the previous volume or anywhere near the old pumps. But if this is a new plateau and then say the mean of the volume stays up here now, that's a noticeable difference than that's back there. And that's what I'm going to be paying attention to in the next 3, 4, 5 weeks. Does the volume plateau and a new plateau right there? And if we even go in from the daily time frame to the 4-hour, you can see a little bit more. See the plateau I'm talking about? I'm going to be interested to see if we can hold on a new plateau somewhere up here above where the old volume was, right? Because that would be very, very critical to trying to hold this price up, right? And maintaining a new plateau in price where 28 cents was the bottom, and then maybe the 58, 59 to 69 is the new bottom range where we dump, right, whenever we have a correction. So that's going to be very critical to look at, and you can see right there what we're talking about, that new plateau. But right now we had the big pump and then the sell-off with some profit taking, with some moving of the money, with the shakers and the movers and the trading and all that good stuff that goes on with trading after any kind of a big move. But if we get into the hour time frame, what I'm watching out for now is two levels that I want to see hold. You're kind of forming this rising channel a little bit off of the pump, right? When you had that pump, see that? You kind of got a rising channel there. What you want to see happen here to hold this major bullish trend without any kind of harsh correction, as you can see, we came down initially to that 69 cents we were talking about when we were in here, that a major area of support that you would look to flip would be the 69 cents, came back, touched it, and then started to trade sideways and up, right? As the volume came down, which is to be expected. But when I see price go up and volume go down, that leaves me to see in a wait and see approach to see what happens, because sometimes you take the steps up and then you take the elevator down. And that's what I'm watching to see, is if the sellers come in with the volume slowly going down, if we trade back again towards that 69 cents or even the 58 to 60 cents. So we're going to pay attention to that. You want to hold above these moving averages right here, right? As you can see, the moving average is caught up to the price. As the price came down a little bit, the moving averages obviously come up because they're exponential moving averages. So they always will trend towards the price given enough time. And that's what we're watching out. And what you really want to see is you want to take out this old high, right? You need to take that old high out. And that would signify that the bull trend is continuing in the phenomenal up fashion that we're having now. And that's really what we're going to watch out for. You don't really want to see some kind of a mountain double top like that, and then you trade like that, which is still all right, as long as if you do come back down here, you hold that. So the first level I'm watching would be the 200-day moving average down here. That's about 77 cents. If we come back down and test that, do we hold it and then continue to the upside, or do we get some kind of consolidation back into a heavily traded area on the blue trading zone? That was critical support and resistance for a very, very long time. Those are all to be determined. But that is what we're watching out for right now after a pretty good relief rally. After the trading, we went up about 25%, but those are the levels that I'm watching out for right now, right? You're in the thick of where all the trading was last time. So we just got to see and wait and see what happens here over the next couple of weeks. Same thing with XLM. We came up into the same area. We've essentially traded the same way. These two coins seem to be most on par with trading the same. We had the big pump up, big wick, and we had the consolidation right here, the little dump to the moving averages. And then we swung back up in the last 24 to 48 hours. And we're coming back up to this area, just like XRP is. And we held this 13 and a half, 14 cents pretty well right here. And that's a major area of support that you want to see it flipped. That used to be upper resistance and now it's trying to flip it to new support. So we'll see if it does indeed come back down in here, if it continues to hold that and continue to trade up. And that's what I'm watching out for in the XRP and the XLM, right? A lot of things going on. If we look at some of the news, Bitcoin, XRP, and Ethereum, three top coins on brink of golden crosses. The only thing I would say about golden and bearish crosses is they seem to be lagging indicators. So if they make a golden cross, a lot of times they like to have a dump. And then if they make a bearish cross, a lot of times they like to make a pump, right? Because those moving averages are exponential, so they're lagging indicators a little bit sometimes. So just be cautious with that. Bitcoin in the game. Ripple joins $54 million funding round for a metaverse startup. That's very interesting. We'll get into that a little bit later. Cost not clear for Coinbase despite XRP victory over the SEC. Here's why from ZY Crypto. CoinDesk XRP blockchain still faces centralization caveats as Ripple regulators regulated thread recedes. Last week, the news of Ripple Labs scored a partial victory, as we all know, which remains, however, it is persistent criticism historically lobbed XRP Ledger, the project, as the heart of the case by blockchain that is too centralized. It is technological design, a dependent of Bitcoin, but built around concepts that date to early 2000. XRP Ledger, XRPL, relies on a key trade-off, allowing its central transactions processing mechanisms to be controlled by a much smaller handful of validators or key operators than found on many rival blockchains. Ripple basically said, hey, let's make Bitcoin adoptable by institutions so that they can create their own versions of a decentralized currency that was faster and more consistent and cheaper, according to a former Ripple Labs employee who was asked not to be identified so he could speak more freely without upsetting old colleagues. But it did come with a trade-off of greater centralization compared to Bitcoin. Benefits come in the form of security, speed, throughout, but the downside is that more centralized networks are more susceptible to influence of major players or prone to single points of failure. That's not to say XRP isn't in and of itself a fascinating project in its own right, having been an early mover in the blockchain industry and now commanding a market capitalization for its native token of 42 billion, the fourth largest among tens of thousands of cryptocurrencies. The way attracting the likes of big banks like Bank of America as partner NFTs are natively built into the blockchain underlying programming. Sometimes upstart competitors are only now accomplishing smart contracts like functionality is currently on the way, and third-party side chains are beginning to proliferate, right? So that's something very interesting to keep in track on. You want to keep a track on all the news. Ripple case aftermath. Gensler calls to engage with Congress, which would be very smart. Try to get the regulatory things going. Ripple and SEC might settle their case. XRP just beat Bitcoin. SHIBA whales inflow surge 3,700%. So that's very, very good news. You want to see inflows come in and outflows slow down, because that would mean there's more people buying and holding and not buying and trading. And that's what you want to see to make the pumps happen and make the sustained price have a new plateau. If we look around the rest of the rest of the market really hasn't done a whole lot besides XLM and XRP from the news of last week. Those are the two major players that have had the biggest impact on the news that came out of the SEC ruling. And now what we're looking at for Bitcoin is Bitcoin ready to fulfill the blue track up here and try to reach up to this 39,000, or is this struggling again and it's going to get rejected and have to come back down and retest the 200-day moving average? Or are we going to have this as this consolidation, and then we're going to have a breakout to the upside, which a breakout to the upside would look something like this in a targeted this is very difficult to do, and it's small on a targeted move, and you can see that would get you up near that $39,000. And that is something, I don't know why this keeps switching on me every time. I just don't understand that. But you can see that would get you up to that 39,000, and then that would get you up to what used to be old support and is now acting as new resistance. It would fight you right back up into this, and you would look to get back on top of that and start to flip some of this old support as new resistance. Because the $1,000,000 question is the bear market over? Is this just a bear market rally? Or is the year and a half long, as the halving's coming up, I believe next year, is just a pre-run into the halving? Or is this something similar to what happened here? Because what you haven't had in this bear market is you haven't had the capitulation. See that? You had the big dump here in the last bull market, and that's something I'm watching very, very closely, where we had a 71% dump, but that wasn't the capitulation. It was an orderly dump. See that? It was a nice orderly dump. And this was the capitulation that finally flushed everybody out, that made the new bull market start. And by capitulation, I mean, look at that. It was a 50% dump very, very quickly. And then you got the bull market, or you started the bull market after, where you started to trade up over the next year from about the next year. And then you had a nice consolidation until the COVID, another capitulation right there that really catapulted the ultimate bull run in Bitcoin up to this point. That's what we're watching out for. Is this something that is, do we have to have capitulation this time? Because you can see, like last time, this was about a 71% correction or dump, almost the same, but we haven't had capitulation, right? Do we have to have capitulation? No. Did we have capitulation the last two times before the major bull run? Yes. So that's something that we're going to watch out for, because a capitulation would look something like that really quick, and then you start the next bull run, right? So that's something we have to pay attention for, and we cannot discard because of the recent uptrend in Bitcoin, where we went up about 100%, and then you can see XRP went up 100% too. Just took a little bit longer, but we can't discard that. If you discard that, that's at your own peril. You must always pay attention to what happened in the past. But right now, the bulls are still out and the price is still going up, right? And if we go into the weekly time frame, you can see that capitulation we're talking about right there. And you can see the similarities between then and now, where we had the orderly consolidation right here. The orderly, even though it was 70% down, it was orderly. There really wasn't a mass dump. There was during COVID, but this time there really hasn't been that mass capitulation flush, right? It's just been an orderly decline, even though we've had a lot of bankruptcies in some of the things like Celsius last year and Three Arrows Capital, and some of the charlatans and the phony crypto sites that were out there that we tried to keep you out ahead of. But that's just something to pay attention to, as this is another rising channel, but it's been going on for a long time. So we're just going to have to wait and see what happens. The 29,075 you would like to break to kind of come up to that 40,000. If not, you could replay 19,100 back in there, but that's another discussion for another time. We'll keep you updated. Give me some comments and some likes to help us push us through the YouTube algorithm. Peace and love.